To the show, Carmen.
Go
Go ahead,
ahead,
Carmen.
Carmen.
Welcome to the show, Carmen.
Here we
Thanks,
go
Disco.
again.
Thanks, Disco.
For those of you who are in the Telegram, thank you so much for showing up live. And hello to YouTube. We know that we have been pretty successful with the series so far. It's always a great idea during these market conditions to take a step back and go back to learning and education. And I have been having such a great time bringing on some of my collaborators, my partners, and friends within the cryptoverse, as you would call it, Tom. But we're doing this as a way to still keep some great information coming to our communities and giving some really great people within this space a stage to talk about what they're passionate about and help us learn some cool things as we bear down in the bear market. But we don't have those blues because Disco Burn Token is still thriving. We are still building the foundation of us coming back to our comeback season in September and also making a stand over at PulseCon. So we are bridging over to Pulse Chain, and in preparation to do so, we are doing some polishing up on the website, exposing out our FUD token system, doing some new videos, and making some really great partnerships to prepare for our media launch for that bridge. In the meantime, Crypto Chit Chat has really taken on a life of its own. And we had some really great guests come on, last week. And this is our second week doing this. And this week is going to be no different. In fact, I have a special friend here today that I've developed a relationship with who I look up to because I was very transparent with him when I met him. I was like, look, I need to learn how marketing works in this space and also kind of wrap my brain around what's effective and what's not effective. So he's been a great mentor for that. And without further ado, I want to bring on Nelson from 3BM Labs.
Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, Tom, I was
Yeah.
hearing a little bit of an echo, but it's gone now.
Yeah, I thought I heard
And
it too. But
yeah,
hey, how's it going, Carmen? Um, Happy to be here as always, talking to you.
thank you, Nelson. I was so happy when you were like, yes, I'm down to do this show because I've really been looking forward to, kind of teaching the communities that come into Disco Burn. It's so valuable as an investor in this space to get a little behind the curtain to understand how things operate.
Mhm.
I think it level sets some expectations on what marketing within this space really looks like. And for you in your position, it's like a moving target. So, we're going to get into some really great topics today that have been on my mind in terms of like, how do we express this? How do we understand this? And what does it mean to projects that are brand new and trying to thrive in this space? But as always, I always like to start the show with, how did we meet?
Ooh, we can I say the name of the project?
Absolutely. They're a
Okay,
contestant in the Disco Burn, so we love them.
okay. So it was actually through Librium. We actually met through Librium. The CEO actually introduced us, and Librium had a very good concept, and it was actually kind of cool and at the beginning, anyways. But anyways, yeah. So we met through Librium. Their former CEO, he had introduced us because he thought that we could basically help each other out with additional, information from each other, obviously. So that's one thing I really love in this space is the collaborations that you can kind of come up with, and learning from one another. And everybody, for the most part, has been very welcoming and very open to teaching, and also for getting taught as well too. So now I'll when I join into a new project that just launched, and I can tell the devs are a little bit inexperienced, I'll do what I can to try to help out. Sometimes they're very hesitant because obviously there's a lot of scammers in the space. So it's really nice to be around someone like yourself who's open to that kind of thing and open to collaborations and mutually beneficial type of relationship.
Thank you for that. I mean, when I heard your name, it came with a big reputation for the success that you've had and the impact that you've made. Because you're a great person. I mean, you kind of work with a lot of integrity, which my community knows that I like to ladder climb and I like to meet new people and I like to find out what's working in this space and what where I can learn. I think one
Mhm.
of the things that I found is, that kind of led me into becoming a part of your community and building a relationship with you was I am a COO of a token, and we don't have a CMO in Disco Burn, but yet we still have a responsibility and a moral culpability to, have marketing as part of our strategy. And because I'm on screen so much and, I communicate well, I think a lot of people reach out to me and ask me what can you help us with in terms of marketing. It's such a big need in this
Mhm.
space. But I understand that the space is still growing. I mean, there are some teams out there where it could be 5 or 6 friends that come up with a good idea in a group chat, and then all of a sudden they're dishing out C-level titles to everyone, right? And it's not quite real world where I can't, you're going to need to go through a process and have a reputation and a resume in order to get a CMO position. So we still have to polish up in this space, I believe, but I think it's best for us to understand what really happens with marketing and who should be holding these titles. And as a community, how can we participate and what should we expect to work and not work? Um, Plus, we get triggered, right, as leaders, like it's when marketing before you even launch.
Oh yeah.
Like so the expectations of the investors when they come in is pretty high, and I think that there's a gap between what the team can accomplish and if it's going to make them happy or if they think it's good enough or if they truly understand the cost of running marketing within this space. So I'm excited to kind of dig into all of those topics with you. And the first one is really going to be first understanding, before crypto, what did you do? What was your career path and how did you dip your toe in?
Yeah. Well, firsthand prior to crypto, I'd say was sales, finance, and mortgage. So always kind of been not always. I mean, yes, I've always been really interested in computer technology and things like that, and computer science. I actually didn't go to college for computer science though, even though I did want to, but it just didn't work out that way. But ended up jumping into sales, and then I was good at that. And so, sorry, there's like a bug that's flying around me. It's driving me crazy. I ended up being very good at that, and they saw some different type of skills within me, so they put me into a finance position as a finance manager, running that side. And then um, from there, I got really tired of being behind a desk for 60 hours a week, and traded it in for crypto, which is about 100 hours a week.
Right, it never ends. We need 36 hours in a day.
Oh yeah, I've already been behind my screen for about 13 hours today. So
Normal
no,
dev life, right?
no, normal life, man, normal life. But yeah, it's been really cool. I just got really tired of doing the whole clock in, clock out, getting called every day by someone I didn't like or respect, and just really want to do something I like. And I've always really loved crypto. I've been investing in crypto mainly or on the side kind of since it's been about total about 6 7 years now. The very first token I ever bought was actually Ethereum, or coin I should say. um, and so I bought Ethereum, and then I was like, ooh, what's Ethereum Classic? And started getting into that, and I actually made a pretty decent amount of money on Ethereum Classic when it started to move. It was actually pretty funny. But
My first token purchase was ADA.
ADA.
And like, yeah, it was, I was like pretty proud of myself, a year later and being like, what was my first token? Okay, yeah, I think I did pretty good for a newbie.
Oh,
Um, but I feel your vibe because I come from a sales background as well in the leadership for retail, 22 years. I think,
wow.
and I've met a ton of people in this space that kind of have, a sales background. And I feel like maybe we're attracted to crypto because, especially when it comes to taking a title in the leadership, because we have the skill set to tell a story. We have a skill
Mhm.
set to run operations and multitask and understand a process in terms of how do you onboard people, how do you close a sale. And even though that's very sales terminology, the personality that is successful in that role gets really passionate about things. And so
Mhm.
I think once you find something you love and you understand the impact that, you know, taking control over your own financial future or finding generational wealth or even just working in this space instead of living that rat race life, we
Yeah.
get we're that personality type was like, yeah, we're very motivated and we're okay with working without a ceiling, right? I want to make it the most that I can. And we typically operate within that commission pay for performance structure. So
Mhm.
I find a lot of people in this space kind of have that background, and I think that that's a successful transition too, because we're okay with the risk, right? We're okay with more work that you put in, the bigger the reward, right? The better that you get at your skill set, the more you learn and hone that skill set, the more success you'll see. So good
Well, I mean,
behavior, luckily for us, right?
even the mainstream people who are not into crypto and are not into sales are actually starting to kind of adapt the type of personalities that salespeople such as ourselves have, where we're willing to take on those risks and willing to move on to the next thing in our life to better ourselves and better our knowledge, and that's through say the recruiters. So recruiters recruiting in U.S. and actually in professional settings have been extremely very profitable for a lot of different companies, right? And there's a lot of recruiters out there. That's their sales job, right? They recruit people. But now recruiters have gotten to the point where now every 2 years they'll call back one of the people that they've recruited and they'll get them a new job somewhere else to get a new signing bonus and have them switch jobs and totally switch roles and totally completely change what they're doing and take that risk. And so they're actually, it seems like they're almost breeding people to be like us, to take that
Yeah.
risk. Yeah, it's pretty
Well,
interesting.
yeah, I agree with that. I think the most successful people in that role understand that you're not data dumping on people. You're
Hmm.
not just like, look at what's behind door number one. You gain success in closing deals when you understand the needs of somebody and you pick and choose what things are going to matter to them and you explain what the benefits are going to be for them, and then it makes sense and it's with integrity, right? That you found a solution and it's going to matter to that person.
Yeah.
We are also brand ambassadors. So, here in the crypto verse, as Tom calls it, we love being a part of communities and we love being brand ambassadors and we love sharing our stories. And, this space is just really unique because you get into chats with people, you get into Twitter spaces, you get into VCs, and you make connections and networking opportunities. And it's a little bit different than just going into a brick and mortar store or going into a brokerage and trying to decide where you're going to put your investments or even going to a bank. Like the experience is just different. So I think we are breeding a different type of leader, investor type, community type. And so it's kind of pioneering. But with that comes a lot of confusion and noise. And we all know that if we're starting a business or we're launching a project, that there's going to be a need to shout that from the mountaintops in some way.
Hmm.
And if you're new to the space or even if you're tenured, we are encountering some issues with what's going to work and what's not going to work and what kind of results can we expect, right? So, first, let's touch on the topic. When it came to marketing for me, coming into last summer was about when I started using swaps like Uniswap and Pancake.
Hmm.
And so I was finding tokens in social media, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and it was like, little commercials of get in on the pre-sale, get in on the launch, and checking out websites. And to me, as a person that wasn't, comfortable in this space or very knowledgeable about how things operate, I fell for a lot of scams because of the marketing. It
Yeah.
looked legit. It looked well made. The websites looked complete. There were white papers, there were contacts, there were team names and things like that. And I think the first time that I got scammed, I was like, whoa, holy cow. That means that they paid for a website. They paid, or they were also encouraging and promoting rewards for people that were coming into the community. You can get a whitelist spot if you show. Like I understood what shilling was, right? And I'm like, oh man, I want to get that whitelist spot and now I'm doing this. And then boom, 3 weeks later, launch day happens and it's a honeypot. or it's a rug pull. And then you're like,
It's the
what do I
worst.
trust?
Yeah.
Right? Now, after the fact, it makes sense that if people are out there scamming, they have nothing but money to make it look real.
Yeah.
And this puts investors in a place of like, how can I trust what I'm seeing? So, when you take a look at the space, is there anything really in place in terms of tools that people can use to try and vet the authenticity of marketing for tokens?
For marketing per se, I would say no. So marketing itself, there's no way to really verify whether or not a project is legit or anything like that, unless they're marketing with a very reputable resource. Because most of the time, the reputable resources, such as celebrities and things like that, require a certain level of KYC and verifying doxing of everybody. For those that don't know, doxing means that you share your identity with the people that you're working with, or publicly as well. And then that's kind of the only way I've seen. But I've also seen some people still get scammed from legit marketing resources. So it's never going to be 100%. It just sometimes people are just like, I don't care. I'm just going to take the money, even if I do end up going to jail in the long run. It's just whatever. Some people are just willing to take that risk because, well, for one, our there's jurisdiction issues when it's a different country, and there's all kinds of different things, a lot of different ways for someone to still get away with it, even if they're fully KYC'd and doxed and all that stuff. And most of the time, they'll never end up getting any kind of legal action against them, which is really sad. I hate that. I personally wish that there was enough or some way to really punish these people. Because the government and the policing resources and all that, there's just not enough resources available out there for how many of them there really is. When you think of scams in the space, especially Binance Smart Chain, sadly, which I really like, is just full of so many scams. And it's interesting because we see that on a daily basis. We know how many there are, right? And especially in Binance. But when I talk to other people who are Ethereum maxis, they buy nothing but ETH tokens, right? There's a whole communities of them, and they'll say, "Oh, I'm just so tired of ETH. It's just full of nothing but scams." And it's like they're like, "I'm going to BSC," and it's like it's no better.
No different, right? Yeah, I've met those people, people who are ETH maxis. They say,
Yeah,
look, we're kind of creating that barrier of entry. If you can't afford an Ethereum gas price on Uniswap, then you shouldn't be playing, right?
yeah,
And it's less likely that scammers that are trying, like little tiny baby scammers that are just starting, they don't have the means to really build a community that can afford that. So they're
yeah,
going for low hanging fruit by hanging out in these networks that have low gas fees, and most of the time their contracts are just copied and pasted, and if there's vulnerabilities in it, most people don't know because they're really only leveraging the launch hype. Like these,
mhm,
they don't last too long. There does exist tokens that will fail just because they're not great business people, and they're
mhm,
not doing it with malintent or being nefarious about it, but they weren't great at it, wasn't meant to be, and that's why people need to invest in a team. But to your point, when we have to understand that marketing is really hard to vet, we also need to understand that most times investors will engage with a brand about 7 to 8 times. So that might be checking out the Discord, checking out the Telegram, checking out the website, checking out a Twitter, maybe joining the VC, joining a Twitter space, and checking out a YouTube channel. And they'll
mhm.
check all those resources, and those are really outlets for marketing to happen. But it's a good point to make, to say that's just one facet to get you exposed to it, but that doesn't mean that it's vetted.
Yeah.
Just because they've hit all the marks and they have a presence, there's still more that an investor should have on their checklist to check for authenticity of the team and the project itself. So,
There
great
is
point on
there
that.
is some resources available that are pretty good. I'd say I've had pretty good luck with, say, I've never had any issue with any project that did a pre-audit with Solidity. With InterFi, I have. InterFi is cheaper, but Solidity does, they dig a little deeper. So I would say that Solidity is pretty reputable. They have some requirements with their company. I've never had any issues with buying a launch that was, pre-verified with Solidity, and then, them being a rug. I've never seen that happen. I'm not saying it can't. I'm just saying I personally have never had that happen to me. And then also there's a new project that actually launched, I think it was about 2 weeks ago now, or a week ago. It's called DeFi Skeptic on Binance Smart Chain, but they specifically specialize in vetting projects like their teams, the websites, their dApps, their smart contracts, like literally everything. And then, then once they sign off on it as a safe investment, then they don't guarantee safety. Obviously, nobody can, but there's, a certain level of comfort there, which is much better. And they actually offer some really cool resources as well too. And actually, just today, you'll see 3BM on their website as well too, as their only marketing strategists.
Nice. Congratulations. So are there definitely red flags that would indicate that this is a suspicious project? And maybe this can extend out to people that try to engage you too.
Mhm.
I mean, I get tons of DMs from people that are like, "Oh, I have a proposal." I mean, we've all seen it in the chats too, right?
If I see the word
Who do I
proposal in my DM, it's gone.
Yeah, try
100%.
typing it in the main DBT chat and you'll see Mr. Twiggle come on. It's been there since
Yep.
day one. And we're an organic community. We don't really like to pay for play system, and we'll talk about that. But I think that there's definitely some red flags that showcase that something is suspicious. It can be a little too salesy, too many promos being offered, not enough information, or you see them just kind of like within one type of channel that they're really trying to like get access to, whether it's just TikToks and you don't see anything else. Um,
Mhm.
can you think of any others that
Oh,
are like
man.
definitely no?
Like, as far as red flags go, I mean,
Hmm.
I don't want to point any fingers, but as of right now in the bear market, I'd have to say there's some certain call groups that I purposely steer away from, just because they don't do any vetting whatsoever on any of the projects that they take, and anybody that pays them, it tends to be a red flag in my opinion. And so they've kind of grown, they've established themselves basically. I don't want to say the J word, but the scammers in the space. Uh,
Right.
so it's sad, man. It really is. But as far as like before a launch, there's really no way, to tell if a project is going to be a scam. But red flags that I typically will look for is, I'll open up their Telegram. If it's Telegram based, I'll open up their Telegram and I'll scroll through the history of the comments and the statements on there. I'll look for any actual conversation. You know, if you see actual conversations, actual questions from people, then yeah, I mean, you can verify that they're real people. But obviously, if you see nothing but Moon Project, this is going to be good, launch now, like the
Yeah.
worst English you could imagine, and just like copy paste, copy paste, copy paste over and over, and none of it has any authenticity to it. As far as like, no, there's literally nothing, no meat there as far as the conversation
Right.
goes.
It's just small talk, right? I mean,
It's
some
not
people
even.
may not even know today that there's botted member counts,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So let's step back. If you watch a YouTube video that
Mhm.
has 10,000 views and two comments, that's probably inauthentic, right?
It can be,
We
unless
also
the
know
project.
that Twitter can bot how many followers there are.
Oh yeah.
Telegram can be botted in terms of how many members there are. And VCs even can be botted. Now, if you don't have the proper security settings within your Discord or your Telegram profile, you can also be added to rooms, which is scraping.
Oh yeah.
So somebody can find you in an authentic community that you chose to be in and pull your information and pull you into a room that you never joined. And that could be a scam group that's going to try now, you know, and it can mirror something that you are in, right? Oh,
Mhm.
now we're doing our airdrop and they at you for it. And it
Oh man.
looks like the project, it looks like the amount of users. And yet, to your point, there's no real conversation. It's
Mhm.
just one post after another of like, welcome, Carmen, your airdrop is ready. Submit your wallet here. Um,
Or
we
nothing
also
but
know that if
stickers.
Yeah, right. So, people need to be aware that this is happening and, common sense needs to come into play.
Yeah,
If you didn't click on it and you've done no research, you probably shouldn't engage with it, right?
I'd
You
say
should
common sense
report
on
it.
steroids. It's more than just common sense. You need like to be extra careful, like especially with anything that has a wallet connection to it. Also, it's also good to regularly check and see what your wallets are attached to, and disconnect the things that you no longer need, or want to be attached to as well.
Hmm.
Because I've seen some scams from that as well too, from someone that left their wallet attached to something that has always been on their browser, something that they've used in the past, and then somehow or another the project was either a rug or it got scammed or it got hacked, and then their money's all gone. So that's something that you got to be careful with too. um, Now with like smart contracts, can I go into that a little bit? Okay.
Absolutely.
So with smart contracts, prior to launch, unless the contract address is out in public, there's no real way to verify if a contract is a scam. But so typically, if I'm buying a launch, then I'm kind of leery about it, and I don't know the developers. Then I'm gonna only invest what I'm like really willing to lose. Like only a little bit, because I don't like losing any money. I was actually talking to a friend the other day. He's like, "Oh, just do that. It'll only cost like $5 or something." I'm like, "No, man, I don't like wasting $1. I'm not doing that." It's some
Amen.
stupid like website subscription that I didn't want. Um, but so there's no real way to verify a contract is going to have any of those like there's functions within contracts that are red flags in my opinion. When there's ones that have removal of liquidity as a function, that's a major issue. um, you know if you don't trust the people or you don't know the people and they have the ability to turn off or enable or disable trading, that's a major issue as well too. Of course, if there's, I don't like having sell limits that are too high, like meaning that, like, for example, too high or too low, meaning, too high as far as like they don't allow you to sell enough. It's kind of a backwards thing. But when someone has a sell limit, let's say you bought in, with two BNB, but you're only allowed to sell like 1 or 2 or 5% of your total bag per day. It's like, okay, I'm not a big fan of that, because then
Hmm.
that's a lot of things that there can be a lot of questioning there, right? There's a lot of really scary contract functions that you got to be careful of, and you can't see those before launch typically. So that's kind of something that you have to be really careful of. And then also on top of that, there's additional functions that you can't even see within a contract. Even if you're reading the smart contract, there's some things that you can't see, and they're hidden within what's called the ABI hash. And the ABI comes out of the smart contract. You have to go to an ABI hash X. There's actually websites for it, and it's in one of my videos on YouTube. You take the smart contract, you take the ABI out of it, and you parse that code. And once you parse that code, you can actually see what available hidden functions there are within that contract. And it's pretty interesting. Sometimes you'll find some interesting things that you didn't know were there, like hidden wallets and things like that. So it's always good to know what you're doing on that side if you're really going to jump into something like that. Or, if you don't, then just go with someone you trust, who has
Yeah.
good knowledge.
So
So,
on that point, let's talk about like launching projects, right?
mhm,
It's always so much going on. There is a sense of like we have a checklist as projects. You want to be on Coin Market Cap, you want to get on CoinGecko. There's all these like, kind of like foundational things. And I
standards.
think investors have really walked away with this list and said, oh, when this, when that, when this. We all kind of joke about it.
Yeah.
But one of the marketing strategies that I think is really unique to the cryptoverse is AMAs.
Hmm.
Like, you know, we constantly are looking for what tours are you going to go on? Which communities are you going to go on? And I'm interested to know, from last summer to this summer, how do you think the effectiveness of AMAs are have been? Like, is that still a strategy that's impactful to the exposure, or is it more harmful to a project based on where you're doing them?
It's really hard to tell. It really depends on your timing too. So there's a lot of different factors. I always say that there's no exact science to any type of marketing, because every single team that launches something is not the same as the other team. So, for example, like I don't have the same friends as you, Carmen, right? In our entire life. So every developer, they have their own friends, their own communities, their own circle of people that they're around. And we don't know how deep that runs. We don't know how many people are there. They won't know what kind of private groups that they're in. We don't know if there's already an established community that's going to be following them. So there's a lot of different things that go into every single launch, and so they're very personalized. And then also on top of AMAs, same thing. The AMAs are very, very tricky these days, especially during the bear market, because these people are having to bot their AMA groups, and it's very noticeable, and it's very frustrating to me because you'll join an AMA, you'll do your whole sales pitch, you'll answer the questions from the host, and it sounds like the host is either on the toilet or driving or doing something stupid, during the AMA. It's been frustrating as hell lately. And then after the AMA, you've done your whole spiel. It's been very exciting for you, and then you get nothing but questions from people that are never going to invest in your project because they are reading questions that somebody sent them, things that nobody ever asks. It doesn't make any sense. And I've noticed that these questions are always copied and pasted. It's almost like it must be some type of a Fiverr service somewhere, that will come into your AMA and ask questions or something. And it makes me sad to see that, especially right now, because people are paying money for these AMAs, and they're doing nothing but causing these pump and dumps. And these pump and dumps don't do anything but cause a lot of hardship for the teams. Even if they have great ideas and great plans, these pump and dumps, yeah, they may give a little bit of marketing funds right there at the front, but then it's still just constant uphill battle, because yeah, they went up, then they went down, and then on top of that, if you do good marketing, then you're still bringing people in, and the first thing they see is the chart. And so then you're having to fight back and say, well, it's like this because, but also at the same time, if it's a savvy investor and they look at the chart for everything else in the market that launched at the same time, then obviously it's going to look exactly the same. Everybody's charts are looking exactly the same for every launch right now. They're a big A, okay? They go up and then back down. And
Yeah.
some of them longer than the rest because they have either a higher sale tax for longer, or whatever they want to do. And then also some of them have established smart communities, and then or there's vesting in a pre-sale or something. But regardless, if you zoom out, there's always that A pattern right now, which is not something we want to see in this market. But sadly, that's just what keeps happening unless the project has a lot of liquid funds and has a very smart marketing team that is not focusing specifically on AMAs and call channels. Call channels right now are they're not doing anybody any good. All these call channels, these guys, if you think about it as a whole, these call channel people are literally going from one project to the next, one. Every single time they launch, they say another project's name, they sell the last project, and then they move on to the next one. And they're all doing it together. And so it's just about who dumps faster at that point. It's that there could be even like a private group within these AMA groups or within these call groups where they tell their top investors, hey, we're about to launch this, or we're about to announce this other call. Okay, so sell the last one. We don't know what's in the private groups. That's the thing about Telegrams. Everything's so private. Same thing with Discord. And it's just that there's no exact science to marketing at all. There's a lot of moving parts, and you also have to think about the moving parts within the environment that we're currently in, like within the state of the market, not only crypto, but also the stock market, the state of, just the world in general. I mean, we're at
The
war.
economy, the inflation price is ridiculous right now.
Every
So
The CPI
everyone
came
is
out at
being affected.
9.1% today. That's insane. Highest in 40 years. I'm not going to get political, but I can.
Go to his Twitter if you want to check out his breaking news for those, and you'll know where he stands. But yeah, I think it's extremely frustrating, to be on a team and to want to do the best for your community. You want to brand your project, and you want to build exposure. You want to bring people in and get everything excited, but it's a double-edged sword right now, right? The marketing funds are there, and they're from the investors because they believe in us, and it's our responsibility to really, think about that money really hard about where we want to place it and don't waste it. And if we find that AMA groups, I mean, some AMA groups are so expensive that
Oh,
when you do the numbers, right? And you know that it's going to have a short-lived increase, and then immediately, it's not really building an organic holder from that audience. A call group is really your day traders. Um, Majority of the audience that's in some of the bigger AMA groups, they're there for whitelist spots, pre-sale spots, free giveaways. They want to get the 2x gain and then J word out, right?
Yep.
Um, so leaders are really put in a hard spot saying, where do I put that money? Obviously, I have to do something,
Yep.
but we're finding it really hard, and the target is moving on what's working and not working, because
Mhm.
you may have one AMA group that really in the inception of it, and maybe 60 days out, they were thriving. They were bringing the gains. They were the hottest thing. And now they're just trying to sustain their audience so that they can still gain that revenue from growing projects. And they have a brand and they have a name, but maybe their effectiveness isn't as it used to be.
Yep.
So it becomes difficult too, because here at DBT, we've also tried to not go the crypto marketing route and hire a traditional marketing company, because we knew that our audience was not necessarily just going to be people that are already in this space, but onboarding people that don't know about crypto. So we
Mhm.
thought, okay, let's go a different route. Right, let's do different than all the other friends and circle of people that we know, and let's hire this company. But they didn't talk the talk, and so the advertisements came out really weird and not our vibe. And obviously, I think if you can look back at some of our tweets, it was like a laughable moment of like face palm, and so we didn't proceed further with that strategy. We've also done and tried PooCoin ads, getting trending on Dex tools for like a day, and then we moonwalked right out of that. And I think but as we grew, I think we developed our own identity. And I
Mhm.
think we mirror what a lot of great projects feel. I want to find my key audience. I don't want to be too aggressive. I want them to understand our mission, and I want them to see our roadmap as something that's long term, right? And so we at GBT have worked so hard to try and build our community as organically as possible, so that when other projects come and take stage, that they're in front of a group that's not here for one day or
Mhm.
not looking to invest for one day. We don't want to cause the pump and dump. Now we cause big red, green candles for the burn, right? And that's a good thing. But we don't want to cultivate that experience. But it's tough to grow a project in this space because the cost of marketing is really great.
Oh yeah.
If you don't hit a multi-million dollar market cap, your marketing wallet may not be filled with enough money to even do some of the basics. And I mean, coin market cap and CoinGecko themselves can be really expensive if you're not organically getting on there. So what's the difference, and why do these entities have representatives and people that are in the I know a guy. They're like, "Oh, I know a guy. Here's their name. Message them. They'll hook you up, and it only costs this." So instead of going to Surtech or CoinGecko and paying them to get listed or doing the pay for play, you know a guy. Like, why does that exist, and how do these entities allow this to happen? What are your thoughts?
And, I mean, think of it as similar to Twitter. So Twitter, for example, is a giant, multi-billion-dollar corporation. Elon Musk himself was wanting to buy it so that he could fix it. And Twitter refuses to share their bot information. The bots do nothing but help to keep everything moving within Twitter. Okay, they do nothing but share BS, or they just monitor Elon Musk's Twitter so that they can create some random poo coin called whatever he tweets about, whether it's his Santa Floki dog. Oh my gosh. I actually
Speaking,
I almost bought that token before he
oh
tweeted
no,
that. Almost bought it. I saw it. I was like, I should probably buy something Santa related before Christmas, and I didn't. And I saw that one. I was like, nah, I don't want to. I don't want to do
you
it.
almost degened it.
I almost did, and I didn't, and then it skyrocketed, and I was like,
Oh
damn
no.
it. But whatever. It happens. But it's like there's that. I mean, they literally have bots that are watching his account, that they flag basically everything. They just as saving it so that they can keep the content for later, and or whatever have you. And, there's bots for everything these days, and the bots are exactly what is used in most of these platforms. So CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, the people hack this and find their the ways to get into these systems. And then once they're in the system, CoinMarketCap's not going to go and remove them most of the time, unless it's gone against their rules most of the time. If it has like no volume whatsoever, they're not going to let you, because it'll then get flagged by CoinMarketCap's algorithm. But if it checks some of the boxes, CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko's boxes, these people have figured out a way to put these tokens within there. But they'll still have to fall in line with their schedule for getting on the platform. So it's really, really detailed information that happens. That same thing with Dex Tools Trending. Dex Tools Trending is nothing but a bot that someone uses because they figured out the algorithm that is needed in order to post, or in order to get an item trending. And
You're
someone had
blowing my mind because I
so
didn't even know that.
oh yeah,
I literally thought that maybe that we know a guy. It's
no,
somebody who works for that entity. Maybe we're paying them and they got the inside scoop. They're behind, the let's see.
yeah,
I got
these are things we
I
learn
probably have a Schiller trying to TG video call me. But
about.
yeah, you're blowing my mind because I didn't know how these things are. Yeah, I couldn't imagine that the entities themselves would want to get paid to have these trending lists
They
or
don't.
most visited lists so skewed, and it made me angry, and my community has heard me, and I've screenshot some funny things when I talk back to Schillers, and I'm like, of course I'm not going to pay for that. That's people making decisions with their money on where they want to put it, and if I'm paying you to put us at the top of the list, I can't deliver. They think that we're number one trending. You got them.
Yep, yeah, I think I did that now.
And that's unfair, right? And a lot of people don't even know that. So that's why I like to make it a point to bring that to everyone's attention, because we don't want to participate in that system. And I think good projects don't want to do that. But
No,
I think that
fake.
investors sometimes come in and they go, "Well, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing about this?"
Hmm.
And I think oftentimes we have to go back to education, right? It's not our money in the marketing wallet, it's your money. And
Hmm.
we are trying to be as safe with it as possible. And we don't want to plug into these systems that are not honest. And at the same time, too, I don't think it's fair to investors to do those things. Like,
No.
I would rather be honest and say this is where we're at. And oftentimes, too, like, it's not the right time sometimes to spend the money. Like, we will pay for an AMA, we will do some X, Y, and Z, but it makes sense to align it with a great announcement, some momentum, a new roadmap item that we want to celebrate. It has
Hmm.
to have some meat and potatoes around it to make sense. We can't just spend money every single day to just get the brand name out there, and
Yeah,
most projects don't even have those kinds of funds for that.
very true. That I realized this when someone had a long time ago. They actually came to me and offered to sell me their Dex Tools trending bot, and I said, "The heck is? What are you talking about?" They said, "Well, yeah, that's how it works. We know the algorithm. You just have to own X amount of Dex, their token,
Hmm.
in order to get you have to have the higher level of their subscription service within Dex Tools in order to get the Dex Tools trending bot. So the first step is obviously buying the number of tokens. When the market is down, that's when more people will be buying them. So when the market goes bull again, you're going to see a whole lot more messages for Dex Tools trending. I guarantee that, um, because everybody's gotten these bots now, and it's ridiculous. Now the things with Dex Tools is, like, if you actually market with Dex Tools, meaning that you go to their website, you contact their marketing manager. His name's Guillermo. He will send you a list of their available marketing resources that they actually have, which are things that you actually have to pay for, which are things like their sponsored spot, or things like being on their banners and things like that. Those are expensive. very expensive because it's Dex tools and they have a very high traffic rating, but they're very useful. I mean, even just the sponsored little button at the bottom is very useful. I mean, I think the sponsored, where it says sponsored next to where you would type in the name of a token, I want to say it was something like $10,000 for 3 days or something like that.
Wow.
Crazy amount of money just to have your name on next to a thing that says sponsored on a search bar. You know, and people have that, you know, for sale as well too. And you can also buy it through, same thing like through crypto.com and CoinGecko, and buy it through their company without having to go to some Telegram, you know, J word, who just DM'd you out of the blue and said that they can do that.
Right.
So you have to think about it from a business person's point of view. A business person with this level of funds that is going into a project, like for example, Dex tools, like there's a lot of money behind that whole system, right? To create that entire platform. Okay, they're not going to go and have any type of, you know, getting paid for these random crappy services. They're not going to allow that either from in their company. If they find out that you're in their company and you're selling these services, you're fired. You know, not only that, but they'll sue the hell out of you if you're profiting from their stuff and they find out. And same thing with the rest of these services. So, you know, that's one that I personally don't believe in at all anymore. And a lot of people were mad at me that I wasn't spending the money in that stuff because I mean, you learn from your mistakes, you know, and I have made those mistakes in the past, obviously, and that's how you do learn. But people were mad at me at the last token that I was a part of for the launch. They said, "Why didn't you do this, this, and this?" I said, "Because I'm not going to contribute to those scams. It doesn't make sense."
And good for you because it's not helping anybody, right?
No, I mean,
Right. I want to say also is that one of the things that people forget, if you look in the terms and services of most of the listing websites, most of them are based in Western jurisdictions. Almost all their terms and services say you're not allowed to use automated or non-organic ways to influence your spot. And so in essence, all these people are advertising for services that break the terms and conditions of websites. United States is a federal offense. And while it's not enforced, obviously it's not enforced at all, someday it will be. Someone will complain. Dex Tools will say, hey, I've got this group that's messing with our website and our sponsor lists, and I know who they are. Here's the information of the U.S. attorney. And then the number one case goes, and that's a federal offense. And I mention that to people, and they're like, you know, it's like, wait, what? And
you know,
so it's
that actually state these things right on their website. Like, we'll get you trending. We have the bot. It's like, whoa.
right.
Really out there, and that's why, you know, overall you have to really do your own research, go all the way down. If things are launching and it's like day one or a week to launch, the CEO, the C-level suite, community manager, any mods and admins, they should be willing to talk to you, be in front of a camera, you know, be engaged and onboard you and welcome you into the community if it's of integrity. If not, there's a lot of red flags during that journey that should trigger you to walk away. Um, Nelson, I'm going to ask you this for project leaders that are either going to launch a project or thinking about how to build a team within the crypto space. What things would you look for if somebody was interviewing for a CMO position?
Oh man. A lot of it I'd say is honesty and someone. I sadly I've gone through a lot of partners, and a lot of it is seems to be because of impatience or greed. Um, you know, if it's a bull market, you know, then the bull market, everybody wants to be your friend, everybody wants to be your partner, everybody wants to work and, you know, supposedly work, whatever they classify that as in this day and age. Um, and it's just make sure you really know who you're partnering up with, and there's somebody that you honestly can trust, and not only with a dollar, but with say if you gave them $1,000, are they the type of person that would use that wisely? You know what I mean, and spend it like you're spending someone else's money versus just getting money. You know, because I've seen some people get scammed for $50,000. You know, at one point in time, So you really just got to be so careful and make sure that the people that you're hiring are knowledgeable and really know what they're doing. Because yeah, you can be a professional with marketing, but if you're not a professional with crypto marketing, then you're not a professional at all. So
I
it's a
agree.
totally different beast. Yeah. And so that's one thing with 3BM that we really wanted to do. So one of our partners, he's owned a traditional marketing agency, and had very reputable, businesses that he's worked with for the last almost 13 years, right? So he's got a lot of experience with marketing specifically, but not with crypto marketing. And for his company to jump into crypto marketing, you know, it'd be hard for them specifically. And so instead, he partnered up with us. And so he joined forces, not forces, he joined us. It sounds weird when you say forces. He joined us
I want
and
to be the crypto Avengers. I mean,
yeah,
I'm on your
actually,
team, so
fits your
yeah, I
background.
like that.
We're in space. Uh, so he joined us, and now we all work together. You know what I mean? We know which resources are available out there that are real resources and which ones are there. I mean, because even with billboards, for example, on Telegram, there are so many people that will DM you and say, "Oh yeah, I'll get you a billboard." And the way that works is there are these systems that will literally get your token, your graphic on a billboard for seconds, and then it'll never be on there again. But they'll tell you it's on there for 3 days. But if you send somebody down there to that physical billboard, it's not there. No, because this happened to
Tom
me.
is laughing. Tom is laughing because we have funny billboard stories.
Oh, we had this happen. Yeah, we literally had this happen in LA. We paid for a SpaceX billboard. We had one of our partners at the time. He was living in LA, about 30 minutes away from that billboard. And I said, "Hey man, it's supposed to be up for the next 3 days. Go down there and take some pictures for the marketing." And he went down there and he's like, "Hey man, there's no billboard here for
All,
us."
all you see is personal injury and McDonald's ads. That's
Yeah.
it. Personal injury lawyers 222-1111. Call now.
I will say that resource actually did refund my money. I was very surprised, and he was just as mad as I was.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, we didn't have the fake, they took our money and didn't do it. But we spread out as a DBT team, and we went across to all the cities that we were in. So we made sure that we did put it in a city where we could send someone out for it. And yeah, Tom and Pete met
Pete.
underneath a billboard on a holiday where the billboard ad was not going to run because we
ooh,
didn't upgrade to the holiday price. So
yeah.
that's a
No,
funny story.
I will say this, and I'm gonna get hate for it, and I don't really care. If you or anybody hears about a company within crypto that does marketing called LoudChain, stay the hell away from them. Nothing
Really,
but scammers. They will steal your money and run away from it and never talk to you again. And if you want
good
the real
call
names,
out.
let me.
Yeah.
Hey, Carmen, you want to take
Good one.
a question from social media?
Absolutely.
Nancy wants to know about the effective. What your take, Chris, is on the effectiveness of Yahoo Finance and Forbes articles and Medium type things like that.
uh, just like anything else, it really depends on the state of the market at that point in time as well. I mean, and also the way it's marketed within their socials and within the project as well too. So I mean, you can build hype around anything. It's all about how you deliver it to the people that are listening.
Right.
So if you just get one and you just never say anything about it, or you just share the link and that's it. Hey, look what we did. Then this whatsoever. If the market is totally red and that is your main catalyst, typically it's not really going to do much, unless you're very excited about it and you tell a story associated with that article as well. Like we got that article because of this and this and this, and build excitement, show that excitement. It's all sales. It really is. So if you can sell it, then someone will buy it.
It does build credibility when the message is good. When we
Yes.
talked about making sure that you use those tools around an event or an announcement or, something big within the project that's coming about, right?
Mhm.
And having those entities, post it rather than just being like a tweet, right? It does elevate of the project,
Mhm.
but it's still something that is triggered by the project. Nobody's knocking down our door saying, "I'm from Yahoo Finance and I like to do an interview," right? So if you're listening to this and you think that's happening, that's not how it happens. It's
Mhm.
just like putting together a commercial, right? You have a message, it's a press release, and you choose which which publications you want to go to. And scammers use it too, by the
Yeah,
way.
they
So
do.
just because it's there, publications don't really have their own vetting process either. So I know it just sounds like there's no hope to try and filter through, but this is
I
why
think
I think a
Forbes is
lot of
pretty
people are. I think Forbes is really good. We have to really reiterate. You got to know your team, right? You got to know the community. So Nelson, let's talk about 3BM Labs. It's Three Blind Mice. Where did the name come from? And I know that you're so passionate about this because this is your forte, this is your expertise, and you enjoy doing this part.
good.
And obviously, you're needed, right? And you're going to do it different than other marketing companies. So what's going to stand you apart? What's your
Well,
vision?
it's not just about like having the resources, right? And so that's one thing that I've noticed from most of the other marketing agencies. And obviously, when you're trying to launch a business, you start with market research, right? You want to see what your competitors are doing and how you can do it better, right? So obviously, a lot of these people are going to be offering the same type of services as we are. However, it's all about your level of experience, your level of knowledge, and the things that you can offer that they don't, or your your personalized touch. For example, what I really want this to be is basically an, how do I say it? Basically a completely customized, individually set up marketing plan for each individual project, because I can't say that a metaverse project is the same as just an NFT project, or a gaming token is the same as a poo coin. I'm not going to say the S word because I don't want you to get flagged. I accidentally said the A word on my live stream earlier today, and I was like, damn it, not going to be able to monetize
No, no, get the
that.
soap.
Yeah, and I was like, but monetizing is smart, so make sure you do that. And so it's really, we want to customize each individual marketing plan to that specific project's vision, their community, and everything. So basically, what we're going to be doing is we'll take on a project. Someone will tell us what they want to do. We'll ask the specific questions, what type of budget they have, if they have a budget at all, what type of community they already have, if they have any whatsoever. If they don't have a community, what type of circles do they have available that they can share the project with without having to spend money? Okay, at that point. So you want to have something very, very strong within your community, which is a core. Okay, you want to have that core community and foundation for your project, so that you can establish you can establish that floor for your project price, right? So you want your first believers and your first investors to be the people that really, really believe in your project. Okay, and who better than your friends and family, and other communities that you're a part of, right? And so not everybody has that. So what we want to do is we want to take a step back. We want to look at every single aspect of that project, it specifically, and see what they have to offer without having to spend money first. And then on top of that, build a strategy on top of that for them. So obviously, of course, it depends a lot on funds, because marketing is not cheap whatsoever. You can spend easily $100,000 in a week, easily. And obviously, it would be very effective if you did it right. But if you do it wrong, you could spend 100 grand and it does nothing. So
Right.
it really, really depends. So you really want to make sure that you have someone that not only is going to set up a specific and individualized marketing strategy for you and a marketing plan that fits for you, fits your budget, and also fits your branding, but also something that really targets the people that you want to bring in. So, there's some projects that really want to specifically just bring in more investors and more investors, more investors, and that's just their main goal. Typically, that's the shit coins. Sorry, poop coins.
I know.
Sorry, and there's just no real utility to them, no meat on the bones. But there's other tokens that they have a video game, right, and they want to bring on the new players. They want people to use their platform, or
Right.
if they have they have a D app, right, like True DeFi, right? True DeFi has a great idea and a great plan and a great foundation of their community, right? But they they need to focus on bringing on additional projects. And so that's what we're focused on with them. We're not focused on marketing specifically to the general public. We don't, that's not their main focus. What their main focus is bring on additional projects, because all of those additional projects also bring on their communities, and their communities will then be using True DeFi and say, hey, I want more of that token so I can get more of this token as well too, and get more of the rewards. And so their plan is awesome. I love what they're trying to do, even regardless of them being on PancakeSwap or not. It's just a great idea because they're trying to fix
Hmm.
something in the space, which is awesome. I love seeing that. And so their project is not going to have the same type of marketing as everybody else. So what we really want to do is we want to really build something specifically for everyone. And I announced this on my last video right before this. Like, for example, Landian. Okay, they haven't done any marketing whatsoever. It's all organic. There's about 1,000 people in their Telegram. There's a little bit on their Twitter as well too, and some traffic on their Instagram and all that stuff. But it's none of it is major marketing or anything like that. So they have a solid core foundation of their community, but there's not a lot of people within their community that even know the level that this company really is. They're this foundation. I mean, they have multiple like locations. They have some in South America, Central America. They're going to build some in the United States. I mean, most people don't even know this. And on top of that, there's over 100 people working in their main headquarters down in Colombia in South America. Nobody knew that. I mean, we knew that we saw bits and pieces of it on their social media, but they walked us through their entire office, and the level of organization and also delegating each person to their specific job is insane. You'll be so surprised how many times I'll meet a project and talk to the devs, and there's 3 people on the team. That's it.
They were
Three.
all buddies in a
Oh yeah.
chat, and then they sat down. They go, okay, who's going to be the CMO? Who's the CEO? Who's the COO? Sometimes the
Yep.
COO doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
um,
But these
they
people
just
are
go
building.
CFO, CFO, CEO, CEO.
Yeah. So this one, I really want to show the level of like how big it is, from an outsider's perspective, because after I saw that video walkthrough and I've known about this for 7 months, I was blown away. I was like, whoa, I'm so glad I bought into their private sale. You know what I mean? Because I've been holding, and I know a lot of people that did too, and so they're going to be very happy as well too. But I booked my flight yesterday. I said I'm going to go down to Colombia myself. I'm going to go down there into their office. I'm going to record everything. I'm going to show everybody what this really is, because nobody knows, And so that right there is what can separate us from other people, is that we actually take the time to really dig into something and show the level of legitimacy that it can be, and also obviously how big something really is. When it's something like that, their project is it's going to be massive. It needs that kind of attention and that type of personal touch to it, where somebody's willing to do something above and beyond that other projects wouldn't do. I've never talked to another project where they flown someone across the world to go and see something like that. So it was
Yeah.
really something that I was excited to do as well too, and it was kind of a perfect way for us to kind of enter into the market and show the difference in our marketing strategies, because we're going to turn down people a lot. Okay, we're going to say no, it doesn't fit with what we're trying to do here. And then on top of that, once we get a certain number of projects under us, we have the treasury in our company built up, because we're an LLC, we have licenses and everything, and we're fully protected and bonded. And once we have our treasury built for our company, we're going to start doing some project incubation. And the incubation services are going to be because we have a whole lot of resources attached to different developers who are really, really knowledgeable and very talented. And so having those resources that not everybody has, if you have an idea for a project and you just have no idea what to do, or how to implement that idea, contact someone that can get that idea off the ground. If you really believe it's something that needs to happen, within the space, like True DeFi, they were able to crowdfund, and do everything. And also Matt, the owner of it, he's the developer himself. So he did all the work himself. So they didn't need to go and raise a whole bunch of funds to hire someone like that. He was able to do it all himself. He just needed help spreading the word, you know.
Shout
And
out to Matt, one of our DBT whales, and also the dev of our contracts at DBT and DYOR. He's
oh, I
always
didn't know
coming
that.
out with really great stuff. He's a close friend, also a big whale for us, but one of our biggest supporters. We call him Rebel Matt,
Mm-hmm.
right? And now we're gonna have to switch over to True DeFi Matt. But it is really refreshing to see you not only doing what you love and what you're good at, but making sure that you're really finding great projects that should stand out and
Yeah.
giving them the resources and help that they need to kind of like navigate through this space because it's tough. If you don't know how to play this game and you don't know what works and what doesn't work, then get wrecked. And just by those marketing decisions and releasing the funds and making some mistakes, it could kill a project. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, all the information you gave to us is so fantastic. Please feel free to get into the main DBT chat. I know that you are a DBT holder, so thank you so much for being a part of our family. And you are free throughout this entire month to talk about Three Blind Mice Labs, post some links, the website in the chat. And if you guys are watching and you have a project that you might think needs some good marketing, at least get a phone call meet and greet with Nelson, then please, he'll share that information and let's get some DMs going. We want to help his business thrive and see if there's anything that we can do to help. Nelson, I want to thank you so much for being my guest today. And I think we're going to grow old together in this crypto space. So, thank goodness St. John introduced us and we became really great friends. And I appreciate your time here.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And I forgot to tell you, Three Blind Mice, there was no history there. I just was,
No,
it literally was like, Three Blind Mice is going to be the name of us three. And they were like, so 3DM. I was like, yeah, I like that. Okay, yeah, we'll do that.
I like it too. And it's really easy too on the logo. I like
Yeah,
it.
it worked. It's pretty.
Well, you're much needed. We'll give you some cakes because you guys are going to be heroes in this space, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Tom, I know that we're going to be wrapping this up, and I want to thank the YouTube fam. If you are watching this for the first time, please make sure you hit subscribe and hit that like button. It's really helping us out. Maybe throw some comments in there too. We love the feedback, and we're going to be doing a lot of these. Go
Absolutely.
to discoburntoken.com. You can see our interactive calendar of events with all of our speakers to come for the month of July. And you can also save it to your personal calendar or share it on your socials. Now, if you are watching in the Telegram, please stay put where you are because we have some really exciting things on our road to PulseCon and to our comeback season in September. We are doing some fun game nights. So our VPs, Nancy and AJ, have come together to create a fun scavenger hunt in conjunction with us wanting to start and kick off our Discord room for DBT. I know we've always lived in Telegram, but it's time for us to grow. And so to make it fun, we are going to be announcing tonight in Telegram right after this show the tips, tricks, and rules on how to play the game for your chance to get into the DBT version of Deal or No Deal at the end of the month. We want to fire up this chat because next month on our road to PulseCon, we're going to be doing media tours to get the DBT name out and let all the Pulse chain communities know that we are coming to Pulse through the bridge. Now, with that being said, we know that we want to show up well, want to have fun with you, still want to give you guys some really great content, bring to the stage some really great people in this space, and teach you how to not be a chumbalone like Tom over here.
No chumbalone zone.
Thank you so much to all of our guests, and definitely check us out on the next Crypto Chit Chat. So today is Wednesday. That means that we're going to be back on Monday, and my special guest then is going to be Jerry Burb, who's a great partner of mine from 365, also the founder of Gold Rush Casino. So I'm going to keep this rolling. I love my job. I'm hanging out with all my friends and Tom, the Chumbalone. And thank you guys so much, and check us out in the Telegram. Tom?
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining in tonight. I really appreciate having our guest, Chris Nelson, here with Three Blind Mice Labs. I didn't know that's what it stood for. Three Blind Mice Labs. Also, check out his YouTube channel, Nelson Does Crypto. Just type it into the YouTube search bar or into Google, and you will find that. Lots of good videos on there, and it's good to see another YouTuber getting the views out there and being monetized in the same point. You're right. It's good to do that, and I'm so happy to take my $100 that I've earned in 6 months. But we've learned a lot of good things today. Carmen has given us a lot of insight of what's going on in the project she's working on in crypto and marketing. Three Blind Mice Labs. And has let us know how he's helping projects, including our friends at True, get the word out about their projects, and also about the effectiveness of AMAs, whether you reach out to investor-based AMAs or the AMAs full of the Jeets, in which we don't like the pump and dumps. And it's hard to find, but eventually the word is getting out on the ones that are expensive but really worthless. And also, kind of a key thing that Chris brought up, where scammers hide code in Solidity contracts, and how those of us that don't understand Solidity will get tricked by it. Tricked by it, and there might be a hidden wallet, and so we have to go to the experts in order to find that. So contact Chris for that. And so on behalf of the DYOR Media Network and everyone involved with the DBT program and the DYOR project, thank you for tuning in tonight. Carmen Crypto, thank you as usual. And Mr. Chris, thank you for joining us. For everyone in Telegram, you'll see our outro, but just hold on and Carmen will be with you shortly. Chris, stick